Good morning. Go ahead and fire away. It's my opening statement.
The decision made to have Scott Frost go to the play calling, just wondering if you could address, the thought process behind that. What was that?
Several factors. The question with regard to the useless microphone was about Scott Frost calling plays, and basically we do a lot of things in collaboration. Our offensive staff is a great veteran group of guys that have worked together in a lot of different systems, and right now in our system, everybody knows exactly what we want to do. And that will continue. Secondly, Frosty's done a great job. He did a great job this spring. Really tried to kind of let him go to a certain degree this spring, and he's a guy that the players follow quickly, and he did a great job kind of taking command. And then thirdly, we lost a lot of guys on our team last year that were great leaders on our sideline, at practice in general. And their leadership style of just our deal of playing the next play no matter what, giving our best effort no matter what, I don't want to lose that at all. And I want to be able to look a defensive player in the eye, a special teams player in the eye, an offensive player in the eye, whatever the case may be at any given moment. And that's the only way that I would really be able to do that the way that I foresee that possibly happening. Still going to be intimately involved in game planning, and I'll take the blame for all the bad ones.
Coach, over here in the corner. So notice you haven't been wearing a hat a lot. Game day, what's the look going to be? Hat, visor, no hat?
I have given that exactly zero amount of thought. I'll consult my stylist, who doesn't exist.
Quite a few months to get ready for this, but talk about how excited you are. What's going through you right now as you take this program over and you start on day one?
Right now, our biggest problem is knowing point A to point B, how to get from the practice field to the meeting rooms. We just had a great walkthrough this morning, and we split up into two different special teams meetings, and how do you get there? What's the fastest path? That's on my mind the most right now, is making sure if the meeting starts at 10:10, everybody's there by 10:07, and we were rolling. So we found out that our guys are fast in a lot of ways, but obviously the energy is great, exceptional, and it always is. I mean, if a team is 12-1 or 1-12, they have great energy this time of year. But our guys are great to be around. We had a lot of great meetings yesterday, and excited to get back out on the practice field, obviously for real, so to speak, this afternoon, and see what guys did over the summer. Moving into the half-field Dowling complex, if that doesn't motivate you to give you a little extra juice, then again you should quit. It's just a phenomenal complex, obviously. Incalculable thanks to Phil and Penny Knight and for everything that they've done, as well as all the other donors that put that place together. That I've said before, if a building was a superhero, that's it. And it's still functional. It's still we had an incredible function the other night with a bunch of boosters where there were like 20 boosters, myself included, crying, over the personal nature of whatever it was, whether it was a guy that played here 64 years ago or a guy that played here 6 years ago, former players, former coaches. That place has a soul, and has I said to somebody the other night, I guarantee that an organic chemistry major in Topeka, Kansas, watched the press that we got last week, will never go to a football game, but will know that this is a special place and how they treat their students, not just their student athletes. I think it's $250 million in economic impact to our state and to our region. All those things are important, and hopefully will yield a few more W's.
Mark, the preseason polls come out. It's kind of where you guys have been in the past, top of the conference, third in the nation. In terms of expectations, do you get kind of a sense of calm from these guys? I mean, it's kind of been this way since they've been here. Or do you get some excitement from them, or do you even kind of mention when those things come out?
The only time we would mention them is how little they matter. It's a tribute to the past is really all it is. And expectations are great. We want expectations. Our guys are kind of used to the noise, so to speak, of whether it's big bowl games or big regular season games. Expectations, hype, all that stuff is awesome. And that's where you want to be. That's where you want to coach. That's where you want to play. But more importantly, they know that they need to have a great August 5th. and that's what it takes. Sure.
Coach, sorry. Let's go back to Coach Ross a little bit. He hasn't coached quarterbacks in a while. Are you going to be a lot more intimately involved, like especially the first year with the mechanics of the quarterback position, working with him that way?
Yeah, we've had a ton of talks about that, just in terms of how we've done things in the past here and elsewhere with quarterbacks, and just working with different guys. Which, obviously we can joke about Nebraska's passing game, but he, the guy has a great past, obviously playing for Bill Walsh and Bill Parcells and a bunch of other tremendous coaches. Jim Mora was one of his position coaches, junior, at one of his stops, and so coaching is coaching. Our fundamentals are fundamentals, and he knows exactly what we want to do, and we've got, again, a bunch of great players that want to get better, and those are fun guys to coach. He's got a great group of guys.
Coach, can you talk about a little bit about what kind of changes you're going to make to put your own stamp on this team? I know that a lot of what Chip Kelly did is you're going to continue on with, but what are you going to do to have your own signature on this team?
I do not own a stamp. I don't even have a pen on me. I'm not, and that's, again, the last thing on my mind is what can I do to make that just doesn't even exist. I said earlier this month that if the guy that followed John Wooden quoted John Wooden a few times, is that a bad thing? Is that a problem? I just don't. That's not on my radar. If I can be known as the guy that kept winning after Chip Kelly, I'm good with that.
Coach, the returning players that have really stepped up as leadership roles, can you kind of highlight which players those have been so far you've noticed?
All we've seen really is in the spring, because we haven't been on the field, so to speak, yet. But the guys that really jumped out were Marcus, Ifo, Tony Washington, Taylor Hart's done a great job, Hronis Grasu, Jake Fisher, have all been really vocal, positive leaders. Keenan Lowe is kind of a grinder by example type of guy, but all those guys have done an exceptional job of just saw those guys out there lining guys up today at the walkthrough. Hey, make sure you check the special teams depth chart. Come, dress this way, do this, do that, and exactly what we need to have on to be a great team.
Coach, after Kelly's tenure here and the success he had, talk about the pressures you feel. Have you talked to him at all? Has he offered you any advice at all on what to do and what to expect coming up?
I've talked to him a bunch of times, and again, that kind of goes back to the expectation. That's great. That's expectations and pressure that exists, sure, but it doesn't. All that stuff doesn't matter. It matters what your players believe in, what you believe in, and how you go about executing those things, and that's work. Let's go to work. As far as advice, the only thing that he said is exactly what he said that Coach Bellotti said to him in that transfer of power, and he said, "Be yourself. I've got no choice."
Mark, what are you sort of expecting this year out of Byron Marshall and sort of the improvements you expect to see from him?
The question was about Byron Marshall, and that he's a perfect guy, of a guy, whether it's him or Derek Malone or somebody in that, hey, it's time to step up type of mode. You just don't know. Some guys are motivated by that. They're the next guy at the pump type of mentality, and they don't want anybody else around the pump before they can have true confidence and just wholehearted commitment to the system. And then there's newcomers too. Guys, whether they're recruited or guys that have just been in the system a little bit longer than others, and how they mature over this spring to summer phase. This is the best time of year. You get to see your newcomers. This afternoon is the first time we'll get to see a guy, at the same position like Thomas Tyner, Kanai Benoit, or those guys, all they're cracked up to be. You find that stuff out. And then all the other guys, Joe Walker, Raheem Cassell, Hardrick, all those guys that they see the opportunity. Now do they seize it?
Coach, what's been the most challenging part for you making the transition from an offensive coordinator to the head coach?
I don't know. Just being honest. I think we have great people here, and they've made that all the transitions a lot easier. A lot of 8 of the 10 coaches for the last 4 years are still here, so we all know kind of what what our hot buttons are, how we motivate each other, all those things that go into that. And I think that would be the biggest thing coming into a new place is just, not only the newness of the people, but the management of the people that are already there and making sure everybody's on the same page. We have that. And now our biggest thing in terms of, recruiting and going into the new facility and all those things is probably making sure that we're bringing in the right people. Just being even more selective. We're going to be able to get on a lot of people's, top 2, top 3, all those things, but we need to make sure that they're our top 1, 2, or 3 guy. More now more than ever.
Going back to the facilities, you once said there was a time when you were a kid that you could play full field football out there at Autzen. Given that, did you ever envision that a building like this could have been put up now? Or
I probably would have lost that bet. Growing up, if we were talking about this the other day, if somebody would have told me in the last 10 years that we'd have this building, Texas wouldn't go to a bowl game, and Washington would go winless, that I would have lost that bet. I would not have bet by NCAA regulation. Of course, I would not have bet. But if I would have lost. But it's just a commitment. I mean, it's just a demonstration of the commitment of this place. And you look back again the other night at that donor function. There were people there, during the lean years, very lean years, and to see the look on their face. And there was never. I talked to Paul Wiggins, Marcus Woods, a bunch of guys that had an opportunity to do a lot of special things, and would have definitely at this point had an opportunity to be jealous. And maybe they were a little bit, but it was a tremendous sense of pride, of we built this place type of a mentality. And Coach Brooks and Coach Bellotti hopefully are sitting there with, a huge smile on their face because they were a huge part in this, and absolutely Chip as well in terms of forming the back end of this project. And so I think for all the right reasons, it's Oregon. It's very Oregon. We've become an adjective for how it's been done.
Coach, now that you've had a chance to be in it, how big of an impact is that football facility going to have on recruiting in your mind?
I think it's going to be huge. I think it's just I told our team last night, we expect them to do unconventional things, and we support them in an unconventional way. And it's a commitment to our student athlete. It's a commitment to now we can even ask more out of them because we can support them even better. We can coach them better. We have true facilities where every position room is taken care of in a good teaching environment. Whereas in the past we didn't have that. We didn't have every guy accounted for. And from a recruiting standpoint, I think it's immeasurable. The response has obviously been off the charts, positive, and then it just goes back to us. Our first 2 things when we talk about recruits are character and attitude, and that can never change and never will change.
Mark, back here. With regards to the building, is there one thing that really jumped out at you that made you say wow? And also, are you surprised, or did you expect the kind of national reception and the publicity, which you were just talking about, that building has got? I mean, it's been everywhere, New York Times on down.
If I'm ever going to go to a place to learn about marketing, I'm going to go to Beaverton, Oregon, and ask them some questions. So no, I'm not surprised by how the marketing campaign and how that's resulted in the onslaught of publicity that it's been. Favorite part? That's a great question. I don't have a favorite part. There's a lot of them, a lot of great parts. Give me a couple weeks, and I'll give you an answer to that question.
Coach, one of the characteristics of Coach Kelly was preponderance of going for it on 4th down quite often. And I assume you agreed with him most of the time, but do you generally have that same philosophy? There's times, of course, that when decided not to go for it, kick the field goal, missed it. I mean, did you sometimes disagree if you had been head coach, or how do you look at that?
That is such a huge, all-encompassing question. In general, absolutely. I believe in the risk reward of going for it on 4th down. I think if you look at the percentages of football and the percentage of being aggressive, the percentages of attacking, that wins the majority of the time. When you decide not to and you make a field goal, that seems like a great idea. When you decide not to and you miss a field goal, you're an idiot, and that's part of the deal. So, in general, absolutely. That's our deal. That's our style. That's our belief, and that will continue.
Mark, back here in the back.
These are really bright, by the way.
Yeah. Can you talk about the mechanics of fall camp, what you'll be working on this coming week as you lead up to the first game? How much pace you're going to try to quicken the pace? What are some of the mechanics of fall camp that are important to you?
The mechanics of fall camp in terms of just in general, like schedule or?
Yeah, schedule, drills, how much will change as far as drills?
In general, again, very little. How we practice it's something that it's an ongoing process. If we don't think something shows up in a game, we don't do it. If we don't think it makes us better as a football team, we don't do it. If we change something here and there, we tweak a drill in that vein. But in general, it's almost exactly the same as we've done for the past 4 years from a structure standpoint. How much individual time, how much drill time, how much team time, that kind of stuff is almost exact. Within that, you're gonna tweak everything year to year from how certain types of things, but nothing that you would care to even know about. Maybe you would, but it'd take too long.
Coach, Thomas Tyner, one of the local boys, what's he going to have to show? What are you looking for out of him to win playing time on this roster, and what kind of opportunity does he have to come right in?
He's got a great opportunity to come right in. He's got the same opportunity as everybody else at that position. These guys have to make plays and take care of the ball. It's very simple. And make plays for us is run full speed if you don't have the ball. It's block. It's be a great player on special teams. You look at the past, and Kenyon Barner, DeAnthony Thomas, LaMichael, all those guys were great special teams players. And that's our playmakers are playmakers. Fast guys run fast all the time. So that's all part of it, and part of his deal is learning that. I'm sure he wasn't expected to do that in high school as much, and looking forward to it. He's a guy that I've never seen practice live yet. That's again part of the process of what's so fun this time of year, seeing those new guys out there, and looking forward to that very much.
I'm going to wind it down. A couple more questions.
Coach, with preseason expectations, a lot of high rankings, how do you temper guys' excitement and keep them focused on the first game, and week in, week out, keep them focused in that manner?
You talk about your system. You talk about your process. We did that last night, and again, it goes back to August 5th. We can't worry about losing to Stanford last year. We can't worry about playing somebody else this year. We have to worry about us on August 5th, and our guys believe in that wholeheartedly. Part of that is keeping the culture with the young guys and educating them. Part of that is an ongoing process that will be forever of keeping young men focused on the task at hand, which is that's a job, and part of the challenge, part of the fun, part of the excitement that goes into it.
Coach, what's the concept behind loud music during practice?
Game day experience. There's a lot of stuff going on game day, whether it's crowd, there's music, there's cameras flying all over the place, cheerleaders, distractions, and we're trying to simulate that element. We try to get our guys as much to a certain extent outside of their comfort zone, worse than game day. We try to go faster, we try to go harder, we try to do more. So game day again, game days just go, just be yourself. Let your ability take over. Let what you've ingrained in your brain take over and go.
Two more questions starting here.
Coach, if you had to make an educated guess, who is the fastest guy on the team?
Tom Osborne.
One more question. Who has it? We don't have to have the question back. Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thanks.
Marcus is coming over here right now.